Hi friends, welcome back to Manifest with Armine. My name is Armine and I'm a law of attraction consultant. So this is part 2 of a little series I'm doing, I guess 2-3 parts, of feeling it real. And I know that while I started making videos like so many years ago, and I kind of like made a lot of pauses in between, a consistent question throughout that I've been getting is about Neville Goddard's feeling it real. How do we feel it real? What is it to feel it real? It's not complicated, but it is sort of specific in the sense that you don't want to make it something outside yourself. And that's really what we're just trying to pay attention to make sure we're not doing. That's why, like, for example, when Jack Canfield explains visualization, he says, don't make it as though you're watching yourself in a movie when you're visualizing. Put yourself as the actor in the movie. You are playing that part. You are feeling the feelings of the person in that role. And, feeling it real is basically, for me, that really, really hits the nail on the head for that same thing. Feeling it real is putting yourself in that first person present tense of already experiencing in the now moment that which you want to experience. So in the first video I spoke about the fact that this should be down to earth. You should feel like not you're in space imagining this thing as like Reverend Ike would say, pie in the sky kind of idea, but it's something that is very realistic to you. And it doesn't matter how little or no evidence there is of it yet, until you start clothing it with reality, as Neville would say, it's not going to be real, as in this physical experience. And if you want it real in this physical experience, then you need to start clothing it with reality and relabel it from intangible to tangible, in that sense, like change the category. So I spoke a little about how, if you could, I'll put the video link if you want to watch it. But I'll put the video link in the description if you want to watch it. But yeah, it's about basically feeling it real should be real. Don't pretend that once you get this manifestation, everything else in your life is going to fall into place, because that's not how it works. Nothing falls into place all at once. It's not supposed to. We are constantly evolving. We're always wanting new things. We're always understanding more about what we want and what we prefer. So that was the real aspect. Now, today I'd really like to, focus in on the feeling part. And as I mentioned, how Jack Canfield explains visualization as something that should be done, that you are playing the character in the movie, you're not watching the movie. If you were playing the role of a character who is now in that relationship or in that financial state, or in that state of well-being that you desire to be, you would be instructed, whether you're a method actor, it doesn't matter. On some level, you are placing yourself in the shoes of this person who is experiencing life through this perspective. That's what you want to do. Now, there were people like Israel Regardie, let's say in the foreword of one of the compilations of Neville's books. It says, oh, Neville had an advantage. He was amazing, mystic, and, he had an advantage because he was a performer and he was able to relax on command, and he was able to really control his mind and imagination in a way that maybe not everybody could. That's what he implied, and I don't believe that. I think that Neville already had that skill down because, in part because he was a performer and he did relax on command. He was used to doing that on another, platform in another way for another reason. Doesn't mean that nobody else has that ability. It just means that he was already used to it and was able to tap into it. But obviously he had learned that also when he was, learning to be a performer. Like, for example, when he went to New York from Barbados when he was, I think, 17. He was enrolled in an acting school, I believe, and his teacher literally used him as an example of how this is someone who would never speak for a living, We know Neville, he speaks amazingly, like eloquently, and just hearing him makes you feel good, right? But, you know, I guess he didn't sound like that when he was younger, and he didn't express himself as clearly or as beautifully as we know him to have. So what that did was that he said that put the desire in him to be a good speaker. And when he started, he wasn't that great, but he saw himself on that stage, you know, commanding that attention and that respect, sort of, you know, and that's what he got to. So what you want to do is you really want to get yourself in the role of the person that you want to be experiencing life as. And to say that, yeah, it can be a little fuzzy, like, oh, how do you do that? How do you actually get yourself to understand what it's like to be in this person's shoes? But when you see yourself on a stage, let's say you're in second grade and you're playing the role of, I don't know, George Washington, let's say, you know, at least for us, you know, a little bit, you're trying to tap into that moment of being George Washington. What was it like? You know, what were the few things that you learned about him at that age? That's what you're going to sort of become in that moment. Now you're older, and now you know a lot more about a lot more things, and facts overflow the world. So pick the facts that you choose to focus on, and choose the feelings that you hope to experience, that you wish to experience. And once you choose them and you practice them, it's a done deal. Because once you've practiced those emotions within the context of the subject of your desire, that's the sweet sauce. That's the that is the answer. Practice your emotions that you want to experience, the feeling states you want. Not just emotions, because feeling states can be a dynamic combination of different emotions, but choose a feeling state that you want to experience within the topic of your desire, and then it has to show up in physical manifestation. So this aspect of feeling it real that we're talking about right now is how to see life through the perspective of the you who is now experiencing it. So if you can't believe, it's just so far, that gap in vibration is so big from where you are and where you want to be, that it's so hard for you to see yourself being that, then can you play a role? Can you play a role, and can you first define that role and say, this is what I would be when I've already achieved this desire? List it. What are the qualities? I'm more confident. I'm loved. I am, things are accessible to me. How does someone walk on stage when things are obviously accessible to them? You walk into a room a little differently, don't you? So you're going to walk onto the stage a little differently. When you know you're loved, you walk into a room a little differently. You're not always consciously aware of, I'm loved right now. I'm loved right now. The person who loves you and you love may not even be in the room, but you're a different person. And that's what you want to show up for life as. That is what feeling it real is. That is what becomes what you want to become your dwelling place that you return to. Even in those moments where you feel like you don't have that, that's okay, because when your dwelling place is that's where you return to. You've chosen this default to be something that you actually do prefer. So it's okay if you stray. Like, so many people ask me, this is like one of the most common things that people worry about. They say, I feel so bad right now, or I felt so bad, a couple days ago. Did that ruin everything? No, you don't ruin everything, because we are living things. We are constantly changing in every moment. So to have a bad moment, or to have a bad feeling, phase that may feel like a day, I don't call them bad days, because, why, if you have a bad moment, why call it a bad day? But it's okay, because the more you resist that and the more you're worried about it, the longer it lasts. And don't worry about the effects of it lasting longer, except for the fact that it lasts long enough for you to not feel good for longer for your own self. So you want to feel that feeling, you want to be in that feeling state of having what you want, of being what you want. Not for the sake of manifesting, but because you feel better with that. And that immediately goes hand in hand with manifesting it. So this is why Abraham Hicks always says, you guys think that we're saying that we want you to feel better so you can feel better anyway, even though you don't have the thing that you want. But it's such, I guess, a catch-22 you could call it, because you can't get the state, you can't physically manifest the state you desire without practicing it while there's no evidence there. So if you're going to say, I can't practice it while there's no evidence there because I can't feel that way without it there, then what are you going to do? Because you're the one. It's in your hands. The ball is completely in your court. You decide how you're going to feel about it. That's that. So, you know, feeling it real. I mean, the base of it is real being what you choose. Reality is not something that, you know, falls in your lap by random or by chance or by luck or whatever you want to call it. It's not these things that are being thrown at you. And I know that a lot of people who are students of Neville don't like the word attraction. They don't like that, you know, the law of attraction. Why is it called that? You're not really attracting something. You're, you know, you're creating the experience of it. And that's true. But you are attracting the experience of it. And the only reason the word attraction is used is because you're coming closer to it. You're interacting with it. Or like Abraham would call rendezvous. And what's happening is that the things are coming together that are aligned with each other. So that's that sense of attraction. It's not like you're sitting there and things are coming to you. That's not how it is. Because everything exists. You're just tapping into that version of reality where it's happening here and now. Okay? So don't let words make you upset. Don't let words be the difference between right and wrong, because words have different meanings for different people. Words are vibration. Don't fight. And this is, I don't know if you're one of those people, maybe you're not, but I'm sure some listeners are. Don't be that person who ruins your own state of being in the moment fighting for a principle, which is, no, this word means that that's the wrong word being used for it. You know, I know how that feels. I don't like certain words being used for certain things in manifesting, in teaching manifesting, because I think it's misleading. But ultimately, the word is not what's important. What's important is that the concept is understood, the process is understood, and that state is embodied. So if you're going to break it down so far, I would definitely do it. Feeling it real is make it real. Don't make it, oh, this like idealistic thing where, oh, if this would only happen, everything would be perfect. Second step would be put yourself in the shoes of that role, which is you. You know, you are, the world is a stage is a world of entertainment, right? That's what we're doing. We're here playing a role, and our roles are kind of constantly morphing, you know, into another role and another role and another role. You were born a child, you were born a baby, you grew into a child, you learned so many things about yourself and about this world, and then you became, you know, a student, and then you know, you became a partner, a life partner with somebody, or you became a parent. You know, there's so many, somewhere along maybe you became a sibling. There's so many roles you're playing. And before you played that role, to you it seemed completely foreign. But guess what? It happened, right? And before you know it, it's normal. So all these things, this is where you employ the brazen impudence. You can maybe find a hard time believing this thing happening for you, but when you have that brazen impudence to be like, I don't need to believe it. I don't need to believe it right now, because I know that if I've thought of it, then it exists on some level and I can definitely tap into it. If you thought of it, you can tap into the state of it. Because if you couldn't tap into the state of it, it couldn't have occurred to you. You wouldn't be in that much alignment with it for it to occur to you. So this whole idea of I can't is another affirmation.